Thank you for joining us today. This is the supervisor for AP non-teaching faculty and security staff performance evaluation training. Today we have Kay Larson Hayes here from Page Up. She'll be presenting. As a reminder, please make sure to mute yourselves. We will be recording the session today for anybody that wasn't able to join us or for future reference. And so with that, we'll go ahead and just get started right in here. I'll turn it over to Kay and she'll lead us through the training.
Thank you, Natalie. Good morning, everyone. Happy that you could join us this morning. So there is a lot of content for this particular training. So I am going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a PowerPoint kind of walkthrough of the system. Once we've done that so that you can relate, I will actually go into the site itself so that you can see how all of that information comes together for you. So this morning, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to go over a process overview for your new evaluation process, how you're going to go about logging into the performance management system, then navigating your way through it, and then finally completing your actions. So let's start right off. How are you going to access? There are going to be a number of ways that you are actually going to be able to access the performance portal. As stated here, there is a direct link. You will all have access to these slide decks after the training is over with. You will also be able to go to the Human Resources website, and you'll notice that they have actually put a performance evaluation plan link there under all current employees. So you'll also be able to click to that. The third way that you will be able to access the system will be that when the reviews are actually launched, and the HR team is looking to launch them the week of July 12th, you will get an email when you have a particular action to do. Once you get that email, there will be a link in that email that will take you to the site as well. So you have multiple ways that you would be able to access that information. Once you access the information, this is a sample of the screen that you're going to come to. This is basically what we call our performance portal, our employee performance portal. You'll notice that both employees and supervisors have access to the same location. So employees, when they log into the system, they're going to place their attention towards My Performance Reviews. You as the supervisor, depending upon where you fall, may also see your performance review under My Performance Review. And then you will also focus on team performance reviews, and that's where you will locate your employee performance reviews. We'll get a little more in depth about me and my team as we progress onward. You'll also notice that there is also a link here for you to be able to go into the recruitment side of the house as well. We're not changing any part of posting jobs or anything like that. We're just giving you another access to it. So if you happen to be in doing performance and you need to look at a job or an applicant, you can click on the recruitment administration. Natalie, we have questions already?
Yeah, we just had a couple. What should we refer to this new evaluation system as, seeing as the new EPDP will probably get old, and it can simply just be referred to as the performance evaluation process or system if you're talking about the actual system, but we can kind of cut out all the extra stuff and just make it very simple. And then our other question was about, will the slide deck be shared and posted after? And yes, it will be made available.
Okay, great. So as we move through, these are the 11 steps that are going to be involved in the admin non-teaching faculty evaluation process. So step one, the employee is going to identify their goals and their job responsibilities. As you can see, we'll move through and we'll identify and discuss each one of these steps as we go through the day. So step one is going to be where the employee will get a notification that they have a task to do, and they're going to log into the system. They will see their review again under My Performance Reviews. They will click on the title and that will take them to their review. At that point in time, they're going to go through. This is what the form looks like. The form looks identical for both the employee and the supervisor. So both of you will all see. What will change will be what we call a start page instructions. So this is basically what your employees will see. And then your instructions will be a little bit different when you click on and begin the process. So we have goals, we have job knowledge, we have university competencies, professional development, and overall rating. So those are basically the four sections of the performance evaluation. Employees will enter their goals in any projects. The HR team has done a really great job of putting together sets of instructions. So they are very clear instructions as to what you should do for each one of these various sections. So when an employee goes in to create their goals or their project, they're simply going to click on an Add Goals button and complete that information. Section 2, basically the same thing, their job knowledge and responsibilities. The instructions say they recommend no more than 4. I'm sure some people will probably add more than 4. They will click on the Add the Job Knowledge button. They will see these two that will appear. Well, they'll see one. This is an example of what will appear in the future. So once they add their job knowledge and responsibilities this year, if they want to pull something from this year into next year, they can just click on this area here. When they click on that button, this is what will open up. So the box will be a title box. It is a required field, and there's a description. So they can put basically a title of what they do and then a more in-depth description of the information. They also have the ability to upload any documents to that, each one of these. Section 3 is university competencies. This has all been preloaded for everybody. Anyone who is receiving an evaluation at GVSU will be rated on the university competencies. So it's provided to both the employees and the supervisors just so that they have an opportunity to review the items and understand clearly what they will be rated against. Professional development, this gives the employee an area where they can go out and add professional development items if they so choose. Whoops. Again, the instructions say they need to complete the title and then fill in the description. Pretty straightforward. Almost everything works exactly the same way in the system. The last tab is the overall rating. There's no action that will be required on this tab by either the employee or the supervisor during the initial goal setting stage. This will not come into play until it's actually time to do the evaluation. So once the employee has completed all of their parts of the evaluation process, then they're going to go to next step, and that next step is the supervisor review. So this is where you will all now receive an email. Again, that will have the login information in it for you. You will be using your single sign-on login. So none of your usernames and passwords will change. You will log in, and instead of going to my performance review, you're going to go to your team. You're going to locate the specific employee, and you may have multiple. So you may get multiple emails depending upon the timing on when the individuals complete their part of the review process. So you will click on the little drop-down arrow, and once you do that, then the review will appear for you. And this is what it says: review, supervisor review and approve goals. And you will just click on the title and be able to go straight in. Natalie, do we have a question?
We do. It was asked if the professional development section is not required. That is correct. The system will not require entry for professional development items. However, we're strongly encouraging folks to enter at least 1 or maybe 2 items for their professional development. Good questions. Thank you very much.
So this is your view. So once you have the review in your hands, as you can see, it looks it looks exactly the same as the employees, except for your start page instructions will change. Every time that a task moves, this actual task date is going to, this is the step due date. So deadline to complete this task is, for this particular example, the 23rd of July. Yours will be based on whenever the team launches the reviews. You'll simply click the next step button. The next step button moves you through each one of the various sections or various tabs on the review. Again, your process is exactly the same as the employees. You will have the ability to view the employee's information and add additional information if desired. So there is no requirement for you as a supervisor to add anything, but you do have the ability to do that. In order to do that, you could simply click Add Goals and Projects button at the bottom, and it looks just like this one here. And then you would see the title and the description box. So if there is something that you want the employee to work on during the course of time, the year, then you would be able to add your own. Did we have a couple of more questions?
Yes, we did. We had a question about the university competencies and asking if they have been streamlined. In this iteration of the performance review system, there is not a change to the values currently, but I believe that's part of the work that's being done through the Reach Higher initiative with the mission, vision, values. So if and when those are updated, the system would reflect the new university values. But currently, those are the university competencies that we have maintained in this system. But I believe the hope is that they will be streamlined eventually. And we should be able to move forward, Kay. Thanks.
So the next section for you is their job knowledge and responsibilities. So again, here they will have already entered some of this information. If you choose to add anything, then by all means you can do so. If they happen to miss one that you felt was important, then you can add the additional information. In general, I suspect that the employees will do a pretty good job of putting that information in. So you as a supervisor will just simply be reviewing them. Again, supervisor for the university competencies, as you asked, they are the same as you are currently. They are there for your information so that you too know that and understand what they're being rated on. This is a good time to point out that the HR team has done a really good job of putting together a performance management toolkit for you. So there is a link here to that. So at any point in time, if you have any questions, you can click on that link and it will take you straight to a toolkit that the team has put together. Professional development for you looks the same. So you can review the information that the employee has added. If the employee has not added anything, when it comes time to rate that area, clearly there will be nothing to rate. There will basically just be a blank page for you, which may be perfectly fine. But you can review the information and you also have the ability to add your own. And then last but not least for you is the overall rating page. This time around it's the same. You will not be placing a rating until farther down the line. Natalie, do we have some more questions?
We had some general system questions. I think in general, folks are looking for the difference between this system and our previous system. And I think as we move through this training, we'll show areas where this has been streamlined. There are less clicks involved. There's the ability to provide ongoing feedback, which we'll get to shortly, and be able to enter your comments in a more timely manner. So you don't have to do it in all one sitting. And then it's really just importing it into the review because you'll already have those comments captured. So I think we'll kind of show that as we progress. So go ahead and continue forward, Kay.
Okay, so the next step 3 and 5 basically are times where you can actually, as Natalie referred to, go in, make journal entries. We call them journal entries. You may just call them notes on the employees, things like that. So during these 2 periods of time, the first one is 75 days. There really are no particular actions that are necessary. This is really everybody doing their job, getting, going on, hoping to meet their goals, that type of thing. So you have the ability to go in and do a journal entry. You see a button here, or if you go under About Me, there's another area for a journal entry, and you can click on the little cross button to add a new entry. These are basically just notes. Maybe, you notice that Natalie did a great job in presenting performance management, and you want to jot it down within the system so that you'll have it when it comes time to rate her. Then you could just put, the information, the title, whatever description you want to put in. You can add a tag, which would mean you would put Natalie's name or your employee's name there. That way, when it comes time to do the review at the end of the year, you will be able to add these comments, or at least they will be there to jog your memory about some additional comments you want to add. So we do have the ability to do it directly into the system. We also have what we call an everyday performance app. This app is available through the Apple App Store as well as Android. So you can just go to Everyday Performance, and you will see that there's a Page Up app. You can download it to your phone. The nice part about using this app is that any entries that you make here on the phone will automatically push into that performance system. And so this is great if you're on the road, or you're at a conference, or maybe you're in a meeting and you want to jot something down with regards to one of your employees. This is a great way to be able to keep track of it. So you have 2 ways. You can either log into the system, or you can download the Everyday Performance app. So in between steps 3 and 5 is step 4. And the reason why I put them together is because those 3 and 5 are those journaling times. Those are the, make notes, do whatever. Don't make any notes if you want. They're completely optional. But step 4 is a mandatory step for the supervisors. It is what we call a mid-year check-in. At this point in time, you as a supervisor will be able to hopefully meet with that employee and kind of talk about their progress towards things. You will have the ability, it is not required, but you will have the ability to go in and add comments against certain items if you wish to do so at that time. Those comments will be reflected ultimately in the end year review. Just be aware that they will stay with the review through the whole course of the event. Natalie, do we have some more questions?
We do. I've been answering them in the chat, Kay, as well. So I'll interrupt when we need to talk through one in more detail. But we're getting quite a few, so I'm just answering them through the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we've done steps 3, 4, and 5, and now, so once you've done your mid-year check-in, we'll now go back into another evaluation period, which is about 23 days long, maybe 24. Again, give and take when they actually launch this program. And once that evaluation period is over with, the system will automatically move to the step 6, which is where the employee is going to come in and complete their self-eval. So again, they're going to get a notification, they'll log in, they'll go to their performance reviews, and now they are going to be asked to rate themselves. Now, they are actually going to rate themselves on job responsibilities, their university competencies, and their overall rating. They will not be rating themselves on goals and professional development, but they will be able to make a comment. So the system looks very similar to what you would see here. They would have this type of a rating, and yes, they are stars. Star is very similar. Just think of them as being a radial button or a checkbox or something like that. It kind of makes it a little more easier for folks to clearly identify what somebody's rating is. And then they would have a comment box under each item as well. Comments are not mandatory for employees, but ratings are. So I'm going to pass it back to Natalie at this point in time to talk about the rating scales.
Thanks, Kay. So with the new system, we will have new rating scales. As you can see, we have 4 categories for our new system. They are exceeding, succeeding, developing, and needs improvement. And a couple things to note with this new scale is that we would anticipate and hope that majority of folks are falling in the succeeding and developing ranges. And then exceeding is going to be really reserved for your high performers, somebody that's really going above and beyond and demonstrating exceptional work. And then needs improvement is obviously the other end of that spectrum where somebody isn't meeting the minimum standards for the position and requires improvement. Also to note that with developing, this is also a rating that we would expect for brand new employees or somebody that maybe took on a new task with possibly a retirement in the department or something like that, something that they haven't gained full proficiency in yet, haven't become an expert in their skill and knowledge. They're still learning and developing that skill. And then once they have mastered that skill and are, meeting the goals for that and have learned all the aspects of it, you would see them in the succeeding range. One other point to note with the needs improvement in past EPDPs, it was structured that somebody receiving that rating or that lowest rating would be required or mandated to engage in a performance improvement plan. That is no longer the case with the new system. However, that is still an option to utilize that as a tool, but it would not be mandated. But again, we are hoping and anticipate seeing most folks sitting in the succeeding and developing ranges on these new scales. So that covers our new rating scales, and Kay, you can continue forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, the next step in the process, once the employee has completed their self-evaluation, is for you as supervisors to go in and complete the evaluation. Same thing happens every time something moves in the system. You'll receive an email notification and it's now time for you to log in, and you're going to come into your employee team performance and find their employee and then begin the process there. This is what your start page basically looks like. It will have the employee's name so that you will know whose self-evaluation that you're actually working on or whose evaluation you're actually working on. And then from there you can continue. So again, you're going to rate for job knowledge, you're going to rate on the university competencies and provide overall rating. You will also be able to add comments to all of the areas as you go through the review as well. What this is going to look like for you is that you are also going to see the employee's rating. So you will be able to see how the employee rated themselves. You will also be able to see any comments that the employee may have added about their particular performance on a particular item. When you come to rate, yours will basically be blank and you will be able to select the appropriate area. Each one of these is highlighted based on the rating system. So exceeding, succeeding, developing, and needs improvement. When we get into the system, you'll actually be able to see how these work. The last step in the process for you, once you have completed rating and provided them with an overall rating, will be the next steps tab. On that particular page, you are going to see this message. You will not be able to progress the review to the next step until you have added a final comment. You will scroll down to the bottom of the page and managers will be required. This is the only required comment in the entire system. And so if you have not already made any other comments, this will be your final opportunity to make comments. Once you have entered a comment in this area here, we'll then change to go to next step, and you will be able to progress it to the supervisor employee review. That is the next step in the process. That also does belong to you as the supervisor. So you, at this point in time, you will log out of the system, do what you normally do, which would be to make an appointment with the employee to come in and talk about your review. Once you do that, you will need to log back in and actually move this to the next step. The next step is for the employee to acknowledge their evaluation. So you will have to physically log back into the system and push the eval to go to next step. If you don't do that, then it will stop at that point in time, and the employee will not be able to acknowledge their review. Employee will get that notification as soon as you push it. They will be able to come into the system. They will not be able to edit anything at all. They will be able to review your comments. They will be able to review their ratings, and they will be able to add a final comment at the end of that process. Given that, the step 10 belongs, the review will come back to you for your final acknowledgement. And the reason for this is that the team had received numerous comments from supervisors last year that they didn't have an opportunity to see what the employee had put for final comments. So you will have that ability. The reviews will come back to you for one final time. You'll be able to log in and review your employees' comments, and then you will actually push it to the step of evaluation complete. So it will require you to manually go into the system and actually move it forward. But you will see that it is very easy to be able to do that. Once you have moved it to evaluation complete, basically everybody's job is done. So you may decide that you want to view the completed review at some point in time. So employees, this is how they would go in and review it. This is how you as a supervisor will go in and view it. You will come back into the system. At this time, you are going to go to My Team. So that was one of the areas at the top of the page. And you will click on Performance Reviews. Once you do that, you will be brought to this Change Status area. There'll be a lot of information on this page down below here. But if you want to see a completed review, you would change the status to complete and click Search. Now you can click all, but as time goes on, that all button is pretty much going to show everything, whether they're current or whether they're complete. So it is best that you actually just click on complete, hit search, then you will see the employee's information will pop up and you will be able to view the report. When you have put the evaluation in the evaluation complete state, those tabs or section types no longer appear. The review will actually come out in an actual evaluation document style, and we'll take a look at that at the end. So now let's go ahead and jump into the system. So you're gonna watch me take a few steps that you don't have to take. And one of these is because I'm going to be going back and forth from the employee to the supervisor so that you can see how the whole system works. So right now I'm coming in as Sally. So as the employee, when Sally logs in, just like my slide deck, this is what that employee will see. They'll have their name, they'll be able to log out. They also have the ability to make journal entries. We'll talk about this more in depth when we get to your side. They will have My Team. They will not see a whole bunch of information. Excuse me, early this morning. Not to see a whole bunch of information because they will not have any team underneath them. But they will see their journal, so they'll be able to make entries here or here, and then their performance reviews. They will use this when they want to view their completed reviews. So here is the widget, My Performance Review, and they're simply going to click on that. Once they click on that, here are the pages. When they're on their start page, it's going to show you who their supervisor is. Again, they'll have a deadline date to complete this item, and then they will be able to click on the next steps to move forward. Here's their employee instructions. So again, it goes follow the instructions down through. They'll be able to click on the Add Goals button, enter title, enter description. So they will put their goals or projects in here. And I'm just going to go through and you will notice, or maybe you haven't noticed, but every time I go to put an entry in, the system is going to put a little saving button at the top. So the system does all of the automatic saves for you. You don't have to worry about clicking any kind of a save button in the system. So they will have the ability to add as many goals as they want. Add information in here, upload a document, and then they'll simply move through. They'll continue on to their job responsibilities. In the same process for them, they're going to add a job responsibility. They ask for, the instructions say, no more than 4, but some people will clearly do that, and that's fine. To give you an idea what it is. And then they can continue through. They will come to university competencies. Again, there's nothing that they need to do other than to review them and understand what they will be rated against. So they are all here. Can't change or edit anything, and they cannot add any additional items to that. Professional development, again, as Natalie said, this is optional. Employees do not have to do this, but they can add one here. They have the ability to add as many items as they want. They'll simply continue to move through the process. There's nothing that they need to do in overall rating, and then they will come to the last step. Last step on the next steps tab is where they're actually going to now move it through. There is a summary here so they can see what they've entered before they actually move it on, if they want to do that. Now they're going to click on go to next step, and it is going to move to you. Once they do that, the employee will go in and they will log out. Now you will get an email that lets you know that you have a task to do. You will be able to log into the system, and this is what your screen will look like as a supervisor. So again, your name is going to appear here at the top. You will have the ability, and we'll talk about this more during the evaluation process, but you can click on the journal entry. You can add a title, and you can add a journal entry, a note about anybody. Maybe you want to say that this is, and put whatever kind of information you want to put in there, and then click add. You may also want to just make a journal entry about yourself. And you have the ability to track your own notes of things that you have done as well. So you're going to come over here. Again, under my team, you're going to see organizational chart. So as a supervisor, this supervisor doesn't have a whole lot of information, so I don't want to take the time to show it. But by all means, when you get into the system, please feel free to look at this organizational chart. It will show you and then it will be a list of all your employees underneath it. You will also have access to your employees' employees. So if you are, a senior level director who has other supervisors underneath them, then you will be able to drill down to their employees as well. You won't be able to do anything, but you will have access to be able to view. Performance review area, this is where you'll come to see your completed reviews at the end of the cycle. So we're going to come down here to Sally and we're going to continue on the process. We're going to click the drop down and you're going to see that here is Sally's review for you to look at. So again, your instructions are here on the start page and you're simply going to move through. If you're happy with what your employee has put in for goals and projects, then by all means, you can just move forward. If you want to add your own, as you saw me do for them, you would simply click on the Add Goals and Projects button. You will also have the ability to edit their goals. So if there was something that you wanted to add to a specific goal that they have already submitted, you will be able to do that. And you're simply clicking Next. So if you're simply coming in and reviewing and you're happy with everything that your employee has put down, then you're just simply clicking the Next button and moving through the process. University competencies, same thing here. They are static, nothing you can do with them at this point. Professional development. As I said, if there is nothing there when it comes time to rate, there will be nothing there for you to be able to rate or even add a comment to. It will be a blank page. Again, your overall rating will continue to stay blank until which point as we rate. You will also have a summary. You don't have any comment area that you need to make at this point. The system is actually using what we call the electronic signature. So when you click go to next step, it is capturing your name, the date and time that you have moved this item. The system also tracks the history of all of the emails that are sent so that we can actually show that the email was sent to the next person in line. Now we have moved, we can stay there. The review is now in that evaluation period, so I am going to have to go out and kind of maneuver things around a little bit to move. This is an automatic step. You do not have to do anything. The employee does not have to do anything. In 75 days, this review will move to the mid-year check-in state. This is your opportunity to come in and make any kind of notes that you want with regards to that employee. If you're having meetings or things like that, that's a great opportunity to use the journal entry part to stay up to date. So I'm going to log out here. I'm simply coming back in. I'm going to force the review out of this step into the next step, which is the mid-year check-in. That mid-year check-in does belong to the manager. There, again, not a whole lot of things. This is your opportunity to meet again with your employee to kind of go over the, hey, how goes it type of thing. You have the ability at this point in time to add a comment. To add a comment, you're simply going to add, if you want to. You have the ability to save and share or save as private. Save it private is basically a draft. So if I do that, you'll see that this says it's a draft comment and it is only visible to you. No one else can see that. So if you actually went through the entire review and you left this comment in draft, your employee would never see this comment. Over here, you will see there are 3 little buttons. You can click on those buttons. You will have the ability to go in and edit your draft comment, publish, or delete. So if you put something in draft, you will have to click on one of those 3 buttons to publish it. Once you publish it, the comment will appear and it will track the time. Now, it will appear when the employee sees it with your name. So it's also easy to say that we know that that was a mid-year comment. Comments are not required for everything, but it is that opportunity for you to actually do that. It's also an opportunity for you not necessarily just to make, glowing comments, but to make comments about areas of improvement that they need on a particular item as well. You can comment on each one of these. They may or may not be necessary, but some areas clearly are.
Okay, will you please show the group the adding of journal entries and how that can be done at these stages?
Sure. So attend leadership. So you can add a comment. If you also click the down arrow, you will see that you can click link a journal entry. So I don't have any journal entries about this particular employee, so I won't have anything to link at this point in time. But you have the ability, if you have made a journal entry about this employee, you can do that. You also have the ability to upload a file. So let's say that somebody has done a good job. Maybe you got an email from another supervisor saying, hey, Natalie did this training and she did a great job. And so you want to add that at the mid-year so that the employee has the ability to see that. You can actually just click on upload file. It works like any other. You can choose a file. I don't have one that's in particular to load, but you can see that. And then just click on upload and put, letter, something like that, so that you know what it is, and upload that information. So a lot of options here. Save and share. Link a journal entry that you added during the evaluation period, or upload a file. Again, you're going to just make an overall comment. Maybe they're progressing well. There's no actual rating at the mid-year. It is a conversational period of time for you to get employee feedback and get feedback from your employee. Once this step is done, then you will move it into that second evaluation period. That second evaluation period is basically the same thing. We can add a journal entry. So I'm going to log out, come back in. I'm going to move the review to the next step. So once it comes out of that second evaluation period, it's going to go straight to the employee to complete their self-evaluation. So the employee will come back in at that point in time, they'll get their notification, and then they will be able to. Oops. This has nothing to do with you. You will not see that message. It's a system message because I'm moving faster than what the system can keep up with me at this point. So we'll try it now. Okay, good. So now the employee's coming in. This instruction is going to tell them that it's now time for them to review their performance, consider some information, and then they will click on next. So while it loads, they'll be able to add. So this is their goals and projects area. Again, this is a not rated area. So they will be able to say that, they completed. And they can save and share with it. You will notice that your name or the supervisor's name, my supervisor's name is Charlie Performance, my employee's name is Sally Performance. So it does capture the name of the individual making the comment, and this one says today at this time, but it will actually capture the date and time that the comments were made. So there is nothing particular here that maybe the employee wants to comment on. Obviously, they probably are going to say they completed everything, or maybe they didn't, and they could say why. Now, the employee will be asked to rate their job responsibilities. So this is where the new ratings will show up. Needs improvement, developing, succeeding, and exceeding. So maybe she is doing really well on budgets, and she can just go all the way through and they can rate themselves. Again, they have the ability to go ahead and link a journal entry. So as we can see, she went to performance training on this day. She can link that, and that's what it will show underneath there. It will show her that she completed this training. So if she needed to do something like that. She also has the ability to delete it. So I'm going to unlink that journal entry from that particular item. Click next, and now she's going to be asked to rate all of her competencies. Maybe she wants to work on improving that. Leadership, she's still developing that. And again, they can make comments on all the items. So attend leadership training. So this was her professional development, but maybe now she wants to say she's done something else. So she wants to say she did this. And then she can add a comment to that. Or she could have done that in there and save and share. So that's how linking those all comes together. Employees will be asked to rate themselves, and they can leave an overall comment as well. At the end of the process, then they are going to send it over to you to complete. They will no longer have access to it. They will be able to see where it is, but they will no longer have access. Supervisors, now it's your opportunity. So you will come in, you'll do the same thing. Takes a couple of seconds for my system to refresh. So when it comes back to you, you will now also be able to see the employee ratings, any of their comments, and you will be able to rate yourselves, rate them. You will clearly have a lot of employees depending upon, so your system will look just like this one. So you do not have to come in and out. I could continue on with Mark. Now you would actually be able to see Mark and say, okay, I don't have anything to do with Mark right now because his is at the employee stage. So I could just focus on the ones that I know I have to take action on, and that's because I got an email on it. Again, it's going to tell you your employee's name, so you'll know as a reminder who you're completing the evaluation for, and you'll be able to do the same thing. So no goals, no ratings for goals. If you want to make any other comments, you can. So now this is where you will come in and rate them. So maybe you agree, and you want to add a comment as well. You can also, if you made any kind of journal entries about that, you can link as well. And so we're going to kind of go through for time's purposes. We can see how you would rate these individuals. You may agree. This is their professional development, so there's nothing there that you'll need to do. You're going to give the employee their overall rating. You have the ability to add a comment here, but at the end of the process, you will be required to add a final comment. So if you haven't added any comments throughout the whole system, you will add them now. You will scroll down to the bottom, and there will be your name, and then you will be able to write and then maybe you're going to layer areas of improvement as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean it all has to be wine and roses. It could also be areas that they need to work on. As soon as you started typing in here, then now the blue box is available so that you can pass it on to the next step. The next step is, in fact, for the employee and supervisor to have their review discussion. So you will log out, you'll schedule the appointment, you're going to come back in with your employee. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. Many of our customers, just basically as supervisors, they just share their desktop or their laptop with the employee and they review all of the items. You will have the ability under the actions to go in here and print a report. This is what the report looks like. This is also what the final report will be very similar to looking like. So it will have the individual's name, the actual name of the review, who their supervisor is, what step they're on. So it will capture that. And then you can go down through and review comments, review ratings. And these are your ratings, not the employee's ratings. So these are your ratings. You can go down and do that. And then this shows that that was added as a journal entry. That's what this says, journal appendix. And so you would see the overall rating. Oops, forgot to show you. So on that, you do have the ability to print right here. There is a print button. There is also a view in PDF, which is what you're really viewing it in anyways, but you would have a easier way to do either one of those if you want to. So simply because you've already done it, you can either go through each section with the employee, and I'll just move through it fairly quickly. If you've already printed it off, you can simply click next steps, and you're going to move it on to the employee acknowledge step. Once it's gone, you can see that it's in that step. You can see that the due date, if you hover over this little timeline, the due date, as well as what is the next step. Okay, so as we're nearing the end of this process, I'll refresh my screen a couple of times. When the employee gets their notification and they log back in, as I said earlier in our presentation, they cannot change anything. So they're simply going to be taking the time to actually review any of the comments that you have left, reviewing their ratings. If they're happy, they'll have the ability to go to the next step. Now, they'll scroll down. They have a place for final comments, but they don't have. It is not mandatory for employees to leave final comments. And then they would click go next step. We'll move this into the final process. The final step in the whole process will belong to the supervisor. And that will be for you just simply go in and review the comments. And the easiest way to do that, to be honest with you, since nothing can be changed, is when you click into the review. Since everything is in a not edit state, you will simply click on the next step tab. You can scroll to the bottom. You can review any of the final comments made by the employee. There isn't any, or there are. Once you have done that, you're simply clicking on go to next step. It is now moved into the evaluation complete, and the review process is over for you. If you want to actually be able to view any of your employees who have completed reviews, because I know next year when you start the reviews, you're probably going to want to look back. You're going to go to My Team, Performance Reviews. This is that screenshot that I had on my slide deck. Anticipation. When you first come on, as I said, there's going to be a lot of information. You can also complete reviews from this page if you want to, but you're going to come up here and change the status to complete and hit search. And you will be able to see all of your employees with their completed reviews. You will just click on View Report, and you will notice now the final comments have actually moved to the top of the page. Generally speaking, comments that we hear back from employees or folks when they're looking at these is that they're really interested to see what the final comments were. And so they move that to the top of the page. But you will have the ability to see your final ratings. So that's how you will view that part of the system.
Okay, we've had several questions about the journal entries. Could you go back to either the supervisor or employee view and show a little bit about adding hashtags to journal entries through the About Me section?
So in the About Me section, if you click on this little button here, you will notice that there is the hashtag. So you can add a tag, and I can put Sally, or I can put training, or I can put whatever I want for tags. Again, what's new. So you can add whatever information. Maybe they attended a seminar. Now the same thing will hold true. So where these tags really do come well into play is when you're sitting using the Everyday app and you want to put a specific tag on it for a specific employee, then you can do that from your Everyday app. Again, it's just kind of nice to tag things if you want to be able to refer back to them. If you have a lot of employees, it's probably best to be able to just add the tag Sally or add a tag training, depending upon what you're really hoping to be able to. It's an easy way to be able to track items. That's basically what I would say from a tag perspective.
Thanks.
And you can create as many. There is no limit to the amount of journal entries that you can put in here. You also have the ability to delete a journal entry once it's created as well. So I could go in here and I could say, no, I want to delete this, and I could make it go away. So if maybe you're just using it as a jotting down things to keep track of the difference between your items and your employees' items, then and at the end of the cycle, you want to come in and delete your journal entries for this year, by all means, you have the ability to do that.